Welcome back to the Octane Eagle YouTube channel. Today we're going to talk about my 1968 Torino. Be sure to watch till the end. We're going to be doing Hot Rod Power Tour prep and trying to figure out what I broke the last time I drove it, and went for beer with some friends across multiple states. If you haven't already, I encourage you to hit like and subscribe so we can get this project off the ground. With that said, let's get into it. Looking back, I never really had a chance at not being a car guy. I had cars around me from the time I was a little kid. My dad had race cars. My mom drove a Mustang. My dad bought back his high school car multiple times. In the later years, he had multiple Torinos, Rancheros, F100s. But the main reason I have my Torino formal roof is my dad's 1969 Presidential Blue. That was he and I's favorite car, even though it wasn't the most expensive or fastest car that he had. But in 2014, after he passed away, it disappeared. I won't get into why. But enough voiceover. Let's get into some real work.
All right, today's project is getting my Torino back on the road. I may have went on a beer run, let's say a couple months ago with some friends. Went from Atlanta to Texarkana. And we heard something in the differential. I'm really not sure how that could have ever happened. Considering everybody that knows me pretty well knows that I absolutely despise rear tires, and I would do a burnout at any opportunity. So this car has about 10,000 miles on it since I built it, and it's been through 4 or 5 sets of tires in the rear. So I wasn't really surprised. But that said, I figured before we tear into it, we would go over a little bit about the car, why it's special to me, and that type of thing. So my dad had multiple Torinos. He had a 69 Torino Fastback 428 Q code. It was a really nice car. And he had a Ranchero Rio Grande edition, and he had what was my dad and I's favorite car was a 1969 Presidential Blue formal roof. It was his favorite car. It was the first car that my best friend Mike and I went on power tour with. We did half of power tour with it. He was nice enough to give us the keys to it to let us take it and go. Granted, this was back in 2009. So I'm a lot older now than I was then, and I don't know that was probably the best idea. But we brought it back. Actually, we brought it back running better than it had in a long time, because getting them out and running them is good for them. And, but we built that. We ran that car. So in 2014, he passed away, and my dad and I had had discussions that car was going to be left to me, and that didn't happen. I won't get into all that, but that didn't happen. I don't know where the car is. I'm still looking for the car. I'll insert a picture here of it. Should you ever see it, let me know. It's assuming it still looks like it did when the last time I saw it. It's pretty easy to spot because it has a police spotlight in the driver's side pillar, and it has a custom center console. But anyways, so after many years of not being able to find the car, I decided to build a tribute car to it, a tribute to him. And I was going to buy a 66, 67 Fairlane, which is my favorite body style. But then I decided to build a tribute and buy a 68 or 69, which is the body styles that he liked. After a couple years of looking, I found this car in Denobe, California, which I bought sight unseen, so just from pictures on the internet through Facebook. I bought the car for $1,700 and sent a hauler to go get it. From what the guy that hauled it told me, it was literally in the middle of nowhere. We paid for the car. It's funny, when the car came up for sale, I had been socking money away in case I had found something. I didn't plan on buying one on the other side of the country. So when it popped up, anybody that's lived in the Rust Belt knows when you get the chance to buy a California car, especially one from the desert, you do it. I knew I could pay for the car, but I really couldn't afford to get it towed home. So then my then girlfriend, now wife, she actually covered the expense on getting it towed home for me, which worked out because we ended up having it in our wedding, and it's one of our prized possessions that we've had, and like I said, our birth announcements and everything else.
So with the help of my best friend, in 3 months' time, we disassembled the car and completely color changed it from what my dad always called baby poop green to Gulfstream Aqua, which is a factory color, but not its factory color, obviously. Then we took it to a trim shop and had a vinyl top put on it. Everybody always laughed at me for putting a vinyl top on a car, but to me it makes the car. I'm always asked what hood scoop we installed on it, and honestly, I had it laying around. It's either a Cougar hood scoop or a late model 79-ish Fox Body Mustang hood scoop.
So we put it together. It's got a 347. Originally, the car at my wedding only had just a stock 302, the stock 2-barrel. It had this C4 in it. When we drove it to my wedding, which was about, 40 miles total to my wedding and back, it was 4 quarts low in oil. I had changed it right before we left. So I knew there was a problem. And I got to talking to a buddy of mine, and he had this 347 with AFR heads on it. And I bought it for basically what the cost of this new set of heads was going to be. Did the car need that? No, but it made total sense in my mind. I bought the motor, and I said, well, since I'm getting into it this far, I bought a PA Performance built AOD to put behind it. And then worked out a deal with Holley Performance before I worked for them, and got an original Sniper for it. Put a Champion radiator in it, and we did Power Tour in it. 2019, we did Power Tour in this car. It was the first year it had been on Power Tour. Power Tour ended that year in Bristol, Tennessee, which is the same location that it had ended in 2009, exactly 10 years earlier. I had done it in my dad's car. So I'll insert a picture. I took this exact same picture in my car 10 years after I took it in his car. I thought that was a pretty cool thing. After that year, we brought it home, and I had a 347 with an AOD in it, but it still had an 8-inch with unknown highway gears in it. So it would run 100 mile an hour, but it wouldn't stop with 4 drum brakes. And between the cam and the high gear, it didn't really want to go that well down low. So obviously we had to do something about it. So we did after lots of research, I went with Streeter Track tubular control arms and coilovers, Bilstein shocks. Bilstein shocks in the rear. And then we went with a Mike Meyer Racing Panhard bar to keep the tires out of the fenders. I have still running leaf springs. So I'm a driver. I'm not really a drag racer. I don't need a 4-link or anything like that. It's got custom leaf springs though. I had from Eaton, Detroit. They are about double factory spring rate. But between the spring rate and the rear and then the lower control arms, the front suspension package uses a coilover that goes, instead of going to the top control arm like it does in most vintage Fords, it goes to the lower one. And by doing that, it changes the geometry. By changing the geometry, you can run a much stiffer spring and still ride well, but handle just as good as you would like. So the car, I've autocrossed this car at Ford Fest, and it goes around the corners pretty flat for a street car. It's got a 1-inch Shelby sway bar on it as well. But it goes around the corners pretty well. It's got 03 Cobra brakes all the way around it. So it'll go, it'll stop, it'll autocross. But it still rides really well. It rides almost as good as it did with the smushy lazy boy springs, as I call them, all the way around it before. So I decided that I had always wanted to do an event like a Cannonball Run. And getting a little bit older and having kids and a house and things like that, it's just not feasible for me or smart to do an event where I go from one side of the country to the other as fast as I can possibly go. So I decided to look at other events, and I did the Southern Classic. It's limited by year, it's limited by horsepower, and it's by invite only. So it limits itself. It keeps the people who are willing to put everyone at jeopardy. It keeps them out. So I decided to do that. So we went to Atlanta. I hauled it down there just because. It was in the time of year that I didn't want to get caught in the salt, in the snow. We left out to go to Atlanta, or to go to Texarkana. And before we much had, now granted, this car has been on 2 power tours with the setup that was in it. So there shouldn't have been a whole lot of problems, which is the reason I took it. We originally were going to take the T-Bird that I showed in my first video. But as you can tell, I never even started on it and never really had a chance to do anything with it. So we took this thing knowing that it should be pretty good. But before we even barely got out of Atlanta, the wiring for the electric water pump somehow got lodged into the belt and ripped itself out. So we pulled off into a interstate rest area and rewired it. Luckily, it didn't rip it out of the motor itself, it just pulled it apart. So we fixed that, and we got back on the freeway. And about 2 exits later, the belt came off. And when it came off, it tore the wiring out again. Luckily, I'm kind of paranoid when I travel, so I had a whole trunk full of parts, and I had a spare belt. So we just lost time. We had to wire it and put a new belt on it again. When we got to Louisiana, the entire time we've been driving it, the entire time I've ever been driven this thing, it's had a little bit of a resonance vibration at higher RPM, higher speeds, above 70. I never really thought much about it, just an old car. We got to about Louisiana, and I heard a loud bang, and then it got perfectly smooth. Everything felt okay, so we drove. When we went to slow down a little bit, it sounded like the whole car was coming apart. So we decided to get off and check it. We got out, checked it, looked it over, everything seemed okay. It's got as you'll see when we put it up on the lift, it's got an aftermarket aluminum cover on the back, which has got a fill hole that's a little high, higher than normal. So we went ahead and put a couple more quarts of fluid in it, figured, couldn't hurt. Figured, all right, well, we'll just see how it does, and let's get going. Jumped in it, or went to put gas in it, and the pump that I had parked next to was bad, so I jumped in it to move it, and it wouldn't start. It just clicked. It's like, all right, well, let me tap on the starter, let me get it fired up, and then we just won't shut it off until we get back. I opened the hood so I can tap on it without climbing underneath it. As with the front valance and everything else, it's not as easy to get to. I open the hood and I see that the alternator, the single top bolt bolting the alternator to the top of the head, had broken off, had sheared off, and the alternator and belt was laying forward. It didn't lose the belt, but it clearly wasn't going to continue to work. And so we're like, well, all right, we can fix the starter and we can fix the alternator. Let's push it back a little bit. We had pulled forward and we were hanging out of the overhang. And we were like, well, let's push it back a little bit where we are not going to get wet if it starts to rain. And as we're pushing it back, we hear a bunch of noise coming out of the rear end. That's the first time we had rolled it in neutral without the motor running. And that's where we decided to call it quits. Being that it's special to me, and it's an 8.8 that's in it, so it's a C-clip rear end. I wasn't willing to risk losing a wheel at speed, tearing up the quarter panel. This car is 100% rust free, and something like that would change it. It would never be the same, even if I put a new quarter panel on it. So luckily, one of the contributors, or one of the attendees, was driving a rollback and was able to put my car in the back of his truck and bring it home back to Atlanta for me. So that was an amazing thing that saved me. But we need to get it up in the air now. It's been sitting for a couple months, and we need to get it up in the air and pull the rear cover off of it and see how bad I hurt it, because in true hot rodder fashion, and we've got about a week until we're going to go on a hot rod power tour. And we're just now going to decide what's wrong with it. So that seems like the perfect time to start. So, all right, so let's get it up in the air and let's get the cover off and let's see how bad I hurt it. See how many parts we have to order in order to make it to hot rod power tour. Might as well walk through it. Just got it up in the air. Got to buy a new front valance. Got tore up in a little bit on getting loaded up on the rollback ramp truck on the way home from Atlanta. It's not a big deal. It's I get asked a lot. I don't like telling people, but that's a 1969 Camaro front lip. Got my trans cooler. Here is the Streeter Track front suspension with 03 Cobra brakes and braided brake lines. Long tube headers. These are Hooker long tubes. Not a big fan of long tubes in general, but they don't make a good mid-length for this, and I haven't taken the time or effort to build some stainless steel ones. Now, you might notice on this exhaust that the welds are not great. I built this recently, and the welder is going to be replaced soon. We'll just leave it at that. I was having a lot of troubles with it. But it is stainless, and it does fit really well. It does not make any rattles or bangs or anything like that. It's got a set of MagnaFlow mufflers on it. But after many years of running it with dumps right here, right at the axle, and going deaf and waking up everyone every time I started the car, I finally put tailpipes on it and converted it to an H-pipe. I think H-pipes sound better on small block Fords. So, plumbing is run. It's the signal wire for the fuel pump and a feed and return in 3/8. Everything else is inside the trunk. It's running a Stealth pump from Holley. All right, well, let's pop the cover off this thing and See how bad it's hurt. First thing we got to do is take the panhard bar off, at least the lower bar, so that we can get to it. Everything's a little oily on this thing underneath because the automatic transmission, the AOD, is leaking. But for reasons we'll discuss in the future videos, I'm not worried about it at the moment. Guess I'm gonna have to loosen both sides in order to get it. Well, let me mark that bolt so I don't lose my adjustment. I know that when the car is sitting on level ground, that bar is as close to straight across as I can get it. So I want to make sure that I put it back in the same location. Go ahead and get this one loose as well. Alignment spacers and everything. I had not planned on taking the entire bar out. I guess that's where we're at. Oh, the whole bar won't come out. That's unfortunate. Great. That's something to find out now, huh? Oh. Get it out, probably get it out once the cover's off. But, all right, well, let's get the drain pan and pop this cover loose. I guess I should probably take the one out for the drain and let it start draining. Oh, we know it was full. Or at least it has the 2 quarts we put in it when we pulled over. But let's take the rest of them out and see how it does. Probably would drain faster if I took the top one out, but almost got the bolts out now. So. Nothing but the glue now. Probably ought to go ahead and just hang it with a little one. All right. Let's get a little persuasion here. If I remember correctly, we glued this on with right stuff, so I might have to get dynamite out. But it didn't leak, so there's that. No edges to be able to get underneath it. I would rather not pound directly on a ceiling surface, but I don't think I have a choice. He's on there real good. There we go. Will there be chunks? Take that bolt out now. Kind of funny that I thought it was just going to fall off on the floor. All right. So there's no chunks. Does seem to be a little bit of something material-wise, but not too bad overall so far. Can we see more? Oh. It sure sounded broke. I don't see any damage. It's got to come apart, obviously, because when we were slowing down from higher mile per hour, it was very, very chaotic. So clearly something's wrong. But from here, it does not look that way. Huh. Bring in for. Ooh. No obvious signs of damage. No teeth missing. Not a ton of slop. But I tell you, when we pushed it backwards, it sounded like it had broken spider gears. And when I came down from higher speed, it sounded like the whole rear end was coming out from underneath the car. So obviously we're gonna have to keep pulling. All right, so we're gonna pull the axles out of it. To do so, we're gonna need to take the brakes off of it. Could probably just take it loose with the lower bolts, but I'll take it apart this way too so I can inspect the brakes. I haven't had the rear brakes apart in a long time. The good news is they look fine. Actually, maybe a little too fine. Probably need to turn the brake bias up a little bit. What size are those? Oop. Around 5/8. I see I got an upper shock mount I got to tighten up too. All right, and then we'll just repeat this on the other side, and we can start pulling the center section out. All right, we got the rear brakes out of it, and we're going to pull the axles. Well, we're going to pull the center pin to pull the axles. So you have to pull this bolt and then drive the pin out. It's been a while, but I think it's an 8. It's not an 8. You get the 1/4 inch stuff. 5/16. Yes. Be a short. Okay, that came out all right. Let's see if we can drive the pin. Oh, I probably went too far. All right, the pin is not damaged. Find me a magnet to pull this out with. Come on. There's one. I gotta push the other one in first. Come on. There we go. There's two. All right, got the axles out of it. Go ahead and pull the carrier out of it so we can inspect it. Ooh. Can't get on it very well. See if we can put a swivel on it. Well, she stinks real bad now. It didn't smell bad. I didn't smell anything until I just took these straps loose. I don't know what that means, but I'm pretty sure it's not good. And I'm probably gonna have to take this. Am I gonna be able to get it out? I'm gonna have to take this bar loose. I'm gonna have to spin them hind joints in, apparently. Let me work on getting this bar out of my way because I don't think I'm gonna get that differential out of there. All right, we got the bar off of it. Let's see if we can get this thing out of here. I'm still not entirely sure I can get it out of there. It looks like maybe I can. The reason I'm doubting it is because the Panhard bar was designed for a car that ran a 9-inch and not an 8.8. All right. That bearing looks okay. The spacer looks okay. It's not broke. That bearing looks okay. None of the races are eat up. Huh. Okay. I'm confused. It's got to be internally in the differential. It's got an Auburn Pro, but it's an older style. It's from what my understanding was when I purchased it. I purchased the rear end out of a crashed Mustang. It had what I was told was a built rear end. I was told it was 31 spline because I knew I was going to beat on it. When I got it, I realized it was 28. So I should have put a 9-inch in it. Eventually, I do want to put a 9-inch in it so that I can put 430s in it for autocross and a 3.0 for doing cruising. But it's a 9-inch and 2 center sections. I'm about $4,500, I say. So that's down the road, I guess. All right, so we've got everything inspected. The pinion bearing is super smooth. I already know from previous that it was torqued to the right, so I'm not going to mess with it. Axle tubes are not damaged. I did inspect that. Everything under here is good to go. I do have to, when we get it down, I do have a bushing and a nut that is either missing or loose at the top of that shock. But that's something we can worry about when we get the car down. And I've got to replace the vent. Right before we left on the trip, I converted, I think I said this once before, I converted it to having tailpipes go all the way out. The tailpipes got the 3/8 plastic line that I was using for a vent a little too hot. It wasn't a problem previously because the exhaust wasn't going over the axle, but so I'm gonna have to switch that out for something a little higher temp. But we're ready to put it back together. All right, we have everything back in, reassembled. The caps are torqued. The C-clips are in. The main pin is in. The cross bolt is in and is torqued. Everything has some blue Loctite on it because I don't want it to come apart. And we're going to, I'm going to get Brian to come over and we're going to grab a hold of each side and try to see if we can make the posi engage, just to double check that, see if it is in fact noisy or what. For Power Tour, it can be noisy as long as it stays together. So eventually I do want to put a 9-inch in this car so that I have the option of doing a 430 for autocross and a 3.0 or so for freeway use. So, all right. So we have everything on it. We're getting ready to put the rear cover on. Normally I would just use either Ultra Black or my personal favorite's Right Stuff. But since we're not positive that we got the issue taken care of, and I might need to service this thing, maybe even on Power Tour, I've decided to go ahead and use a gasket. Hopefully it doesn't bite me in the butt and leak, because I don't normally use the gasket. I normally just silicone it. So, but this is what I'm using, 8.8, using this gasket here from Velcro. All right, also today my friend Brian is here. Say hello. Brian's going to be riding along with me to do Power Tour this week. So he drove over from Indiana to just make sure that his ride was safe and that we got it done in time. So you'll see him in the background tackling. I think he's going to fix the transmission pan leak, and we'll see what else he gets to. All right, so Brian is got the pan off of the AOD. We're going to use this Moroso gasket. It is a steel core with a neoprene on the outside. Hopefully that keeps it from leaking a little bit. But a little tech tip that goes for any of the any pan gaskets you're going to do, you need to check it for straightness. So put it across, pan across, and see the air, the light going through there. Now that is going to put uneven pressure on your gasket, and it is going to leak. All right, so what you need to do is I happen to have a automotive dolly. I went to school for it back in high school. So you need to put a dolly behind it and go along and pound it and repeatedly check it. It's a little hard to do with one hand, so I'll do it off camera, but that's what we'll do, and then we'll check back and we'll check it again. So after going around it and hammering, we've got no gap, nice and straight. Realistically, you probably use a pan. This one's seen a probably better day, but I don't have time for that right now, and I don't know how long this transmission is for this car, so we're just gonna make it work and move on down the road. We've got the brakes on it, you got the rear cover back on it. Everything's torqued down and sealed. Again, we use the paper gasket, so we'll see how that goes. I've not used that very often, so I still have to do the vent tube, and we're putting the brakes on here in the rear. Brian has helped out and gotten the pan gasket down up front and got the drive shaft.
So I'll take a second here and stop and say that we got kind of ahead of ourselves trying to get ready for the trip, and I didn't film everything I probably should have as a new YouTuber. I did take the drive shaft to be inspected, and it was found to be 40 thousandths out of round, which is definitely something that would have caused a vibration.
Back in. I'll finish getting it buttoned up and get some fluid in it.
You need to take a video of him doing that. Take a video. Are you taking a video, Mommy?
Yeah.
So at this point, we loaded up. The car had been gone through as much as we possibly could, and we left out on power tour. We only did 3 days, so we left from Ohio and went up to Michigan. Had a good time, got to cruise, got to see a bunch of cool cars. We got to hang out with some old friends that we don't really get to hang out with too often because they're very busy. We also got to meet a couple new friends that have cars far nicer than mine. But hey, it's always good to hang out with motivation to make your stuff better, right? We even saw some stuff you probably never thought you would see. And yes, we did get to do a little bit of disturbing the peace.
Hi, Dan!
If you're still watching, then you're going to get a little behind the scenes and a little what's to come. When I got home, I had an oil leak around the front of the engine, and I got to doing some investigation, and it was not good. Uh, for reasons that are yet to be known, the thrush bearing seems to have exited the chat. I had already planned on pulling the engine this winter to regasket it, clean it, etc., and probably do a cam change because it's got a boost capable cam in it currently. And the reason I was going to pull it instead of just doing it in the car, as I have not so subtly hinted at, I have a complete TKX setup for this car with underdash, hydraulic, clutch pedal, and everything. So look forward to that happening in the very near future, as my winter plans have gotten moved forward significantly.